My name is Sarah Woodbury, and today we are talking about the Hill of Tara in Ireland. Tara started out as a Neolithic site with a Neolithic passage tomb called the Mound of the Hostages. It was built around 3200 BC and held the graves of over 300 people. Then, in the early Bronze Age, some 1,000 years later, a giant wood henge was built on the hilltop to surround the passage tomb. The Celtic period begins with the Iron Age, starting roughly around 500 BC. Several large enclosures were built on the hill, the largest of which, the enclosure of the kings, had a circumference of 1,000 meters. Another two structures were built in a figure eight, one called Cormac's House and a second that is the royal seat. It is at that point that Tara unites history and religion. In Celtic mythology, Tara was the capital of the Tuatha De Danann, the Irish gods, and its Neolithic passage tomb was seen as providing access to the otherworld. Also at Tara, we find the Lia Fáil, the Stone of Destiny, which in ancient times lay beside or on top of the Mound of Hostages, and legend says would cry out when the true king knelt upon it. This is Tara. I am standing in the fort of the High King called Cormac's Fort. To my left is a Neolithic passage tomb with the entrance facing east. To my right is the stone where the High Kings stand when they are crowned.
But we've been to Tara, and that stone is a standing stone. How do you kneel on that?
Well, you don't, and that's because, one, likely it isn't actually the original stone, and two, by standing it upright, modern peoples revealed that they misunderstood the legend. In the mythology, the Stone of Destiny was one of 4 sacred objects brought to Ireland by the Tuatha De Danann. Here's a quote. From Fáileas was brought the Lia Fáil, which is in Tara, and which used to utter a cry under every king that should take Ireland. That would also be in keeping with the Scottish Coronation Stone, which is mythic and Celtic, upon which the king knelt to receive his crown. It is 26 inches by 16 by 10, which is why it was able to reside for so long under the throne of England, though it has been since returned, and that's another story anyway.
So how do we know all these little details about Tara? There was no written language, and the Romans didn't conquer, so they didn't write anything down about it.
No, that's right. But as with the Britons, we know of Tara's significance because of the people who came after, which in this case, in Ireland, were the Christian monks. Ireland converted to Christianity in the 5th century, and those monks wrote down much of that pagan history, even though it was pagan and not Christian. These writings date to between the 6th and 11th centuries, one of the most famous being the Chronicle of Ireland, which was kept by monks in Iona. These writings state that Tara was the seat of the High Kings from antiquity, and that the king, when he claims the crown there, must drink ale and symbolically marry the goddess Meve as part of his coronation. The last High King to observe these rituals was Dermot MacCurbel, who died in 565 AD. Next week, we'll be moving to the continent to talk about Glanum, a Celtic/Roman site we visited in France. Thanks for watching my video. You can click on the playlist or subscribe to my channel to see more. There'll be a new video next week. If you want to check out my books, click on the link to my webpage.